Alrighty, welcome back for episode 4 of our Let's Play, where we are finally going to go to space. And we're not going to just touch it this time, we're going to go for the full-on grope. Now I checked, and there's not really any missions that have to do with going to orbit, other than the one that we already have, which is to just do an orbit, so we're not going to worry about that. But one thing I am going to do before we build the rocket is I'm going to upgrade this launch pad just like we did the runway. It only costs 50,000. We got lots, so what that's going to do is take the weight limit up, because I probably will be right on the edge of the weight limit, if not over, building this rocket. So yeah, we're going to go build. Okay, so for this guy, we're going to build a 2-stage rocket, and we're gonna stop messing around quite as much about trying to bring down pieces with us, just because we're gonna be going a lot faster this time, so it's gonna be a lot more difficult to safely bring something back through the atmosphere without having it flip over on us. So we're not even gonna bother trying. So I'm just gonna do my trifecta of parachutes again, because I find it's always a good safe amount, because we're going to be trying to bring. We're gonna take the Science Junior with us. We're gonna want to take that, as well as we're going to have the heat shield, so we're going to have a little extra weight. I think this is 0.4? 0.2. That's the heat shield. 0.3, so I mean that's an extra 0.5 in comparison. That's command pod weight 0.8. So we're almost doubling our weight by adding those two pieces. So the other thing I'm also going to do is I'm a little concerned about it flipping during re-entry, so I'm going to give it an extra reaction wheel just so we have enough control when we come through re-entry to keep the heat shield in the fire. So this will essentially be our payload. We've got all the other science. The only other things I kind of want to bring are thermometers, because I'm pretty sure I can get some more thermometer readings while we're at it. Hopefully. Otherwise, we're pretty much just going for the Science Junior and the mission that we have to do orbit as well, I guess. So we don't need that. We don't need antenna. I think I'm actually going to give it a solar panel on the back there, just in case. We probably, if we don't spend too much time in orbit, we'll probably be okay. But at least this way, we can recharge the batteries, because why not? So yeah, I think that'll be it for the payload. So now we just need to build a rocket that will get us up there. I'm gonna build this pretty heavy on Delta V, like way more than, if you do a really efficient launch, you won't need this much, but just to make sure you get to orbit and have enough to come back down. Because it's one thing to get to orbit, you still need fuel to then be able to stop at least somewhat to come back down. Otherwise you'll be stuck up there. So we are going to basically over-engineer the shit out of this thing, so that we are pretty much guaranteed to get to space. Well, not only get to space, but orbit space. We are going to definitely lose money on the launch though, because we're going to be throwing away these boosters, for instance, which are 400 apiece. We're also going to be ditching a swivel engine, which is 1200, and 3 of these tanks, which are 500. So we're definitely oh yeah, we're also 4 of those tanks, and we're throwing a space engine. That's a lot of garbage. But it's kind of unavoidable, and it makes... My goal is just pretty much just going to be make sure it burns up. I don't want to leave anything up in the up in orbit. What's our part count at? 28. I think that should be all we need. So, just for good measure, Let's take a couple more thermometers. So we shouldn't need any of this other stuff. Cool. Yeah, I think we're good to go. So you can see up here the delta V readouts. Actually, I should make sure. Kick those. Turn that on. Kick that. Turn that on. Kick that. Full spread. Cool. For the delta V, we're at 4,400 total. You need, well, you need between 3,400 and 4,000 to get orbit. But this will ensure that we not only get orbit, but we can get back down as well. And then you can see our thrust to weight ratios on each of the stages are over 1. Well, 1 is bad still. You want to be generally over 1.3. Like 1.3 here, that's pretty weak, but it's also going to be the stage that's going to fire probably up around 40-50,000. So the thrust to weight ratio will go up, as you can see in the brackets, as we get higher up, so it'll still be fine. But the big thing are your first couple stages. You want to make sure those are over 1.3 for sure, to make sure you got enough throttle. Otherwise, we should be good to test this sucker. And what are we going to call it? I don't know what to call it. So we're just going to call it the orbiter for now, and we'll probably rename it, but my brain is currently failing me and can't think of anything to rename it to, so. I'm going to probably try and do this launch pretty efficiently. If you weren't using Kerbin Engineer, you would want to launch, and basically you would just want to start pitching to your 90 and popping open your map screen, watching your Apple apps. Once you get up to 70 plus, kill your engines, and then burn the rest of your burn your fuel at Apple apps, and get your orbit up there. I'm gonna try and go for what I call a hole-in-one, where I'm gonna try and actually get up for the most part to orbit in one burn, but I am gonna need Kerbin Engineer for it. So for fun, we'll kind of explain how I do that using the readouts. So we're going to turn SAS on. I'm just going to put the throttle at 3/4 and we'll figure it out as we go. So basically the idea here is I'm going to be watching my time to Apple apps, and I'm also going to be watching my thrust to weight ratio. And what I'm going to want to do is keep this time to Apple apps between 30 and 60 seconds, and I want to keep this thrust to weight ratio between probably 1.3 and 1.5. And then I'm going to be using essentially pitch and throttle to kind of control those numbers and make them go up or down. I'm also going to try to get to at 20K. I'm going to be try and get at 90. Sorry, 45. 45, 90, 90. That's 45. We're at 20K altitude. We're going to try and be at this 45 degree marker. Hopefully, if not, we'll be playing catch up, but we can use the controls to deal with that as we go. So that's going to be my general ideas. Watching this time to Apple. Sorry, a wicked throw with there. So that's my main thing. Is I'm just going to try and watch my time to Apple apps, my thrust to weight ratio, and we're also obviously going to watch the Apple apps height and Perry height, because those are our actual orbit. So we'll go ahead and launch this guy, and I'm just gonna ride these solid rocket boosters straight up for the most part, and then once we kick our liquid engine in, then we'll deal with that. So fire these, and I'm just gonna give it a little bit of a kick to the right, just because it is a pretty tall rocket, so it's gonna want to try and somewhat tip on its own. So I just want to make sure it's tipping the way I want it to tip. It's actually kind of trying to tip north there. Stop that. So the general idea here is you want to kind of ride the outside of the velocity vector. If you were to stay right in the middle of the velocity vector, that's your most fuel efficient flight path. But obviously I need to control it, get it to pitch. Oh man, our time to apple up is climbing really fast. So you want to essentially try and ride just kind of like on the outside of it. That way you're pulling it, but you're still staying really nice and fuel efficient. Yeah, we need to throttle way back. There we go. Okay, now stay on the 90. And our time to apple is climbing again. So this is starting to get a bit high here, but we are well past 20k and we're not even at the 45 yet, so we're actually playing catch up. So we're gonna get a little harsher on our pitching here, and yeah, this is gonna start going down a bit, but as long as it doesn't go below 30 seconds, I'm fine with it going down. We need to get this thing banking. And you can see we're right at the 1.3 thrust weight ratio right now. So we're just gonna keep pulling. So we're at 41. This is the big one that we're watching right now. We need this sucker to zero out. And I'm actually gonna give it a little bit of throttle because this is starting to plummet pretty severe on us. So we're gonna just punch it a bit, and that got it to stop. And our bank's getting pretty close to horizon here, so what's going to happen now is this number should, in theory, start shooting up pretty fast. But we want to keep this number below as well. And we just had to stage, so I'm going to actually throttle up again. This is a bit scary. We need to get some elevation to get that number to stop dropping. One thing I could actually pull back, if I pitched it this way, that would actually stop this number from dropping, but I'm actually thinking it might level out on its own. It's stopping, and now it's starting to climb again. So as long as we stay here, we can start riding that up. And you can see this is starting to, we're getting down to neg 300, 200, we're still below 60. Once you start getting up around this point in the launch, you're not going to be able to control this time to apple anymore. Just pretty much let it go. And then once your orbit here hits, kill your engines. And we're close. Not quite. We hit an 80 by 41 orbit. So we're almost in orbit, but not quite. So what we're going to have to do now is we're actually going to have to wait till we get around to apoapse here, and we're just going to kind of kiss our engines, and that'll put us into orbit so we get credit. However, and actually we're still not even in space. That's kind of funny. So we're pretty close, and we got 800 delta V left, which is way more than we actually need. And I probably should have fast forwarded it to daytime in hindsight, now that I think about it, because that launch was pretty dark. I really need to stop launching things at night. But yeah, I'm just going to fast forward it here until we get to apoapse, when we're a good 7 minutes out. However, I can only do atmosphere acceleration right now because we're still technically in the atmosphere. The other thing we want to do, ooh, sunrise. That's pretty. The other thing we want to do is once we hit 70k is we want to run our experiment. Wherever it may be. Observe. No, wait, not yet. Now observe. Sweet, so we got 25 signs from that. I should have really been doing thermometers. Yeah, we're just in space. I should have done those while we were flying over the water. Oh well. I had a lot of other things to deal with. Trying to maneuver in fast forward is a bad idea. Stay there. Yeah, sweet. Okay, so we're now a minute out on our burn. We can't actually, I haven't upgraded the tracking station yet, so we can't actually plot maneuvers, so I'm just going to just freehand it. Obviously, if you're starting out, you'd probably want to upgrade the tracking center before you did this, so that you have maneuver nodes, because you're probably going to do it in 2 launches, and that way you could do your first launch and then plot a maneuver at your apoaps to get your orbit. I'm literally going to wait till pretty much 0 seconds here, because we don't need much. Cool, so we are at 77.75, so we are now actually in orbit. Which should get us a milestone, which gives us 20 grand, yes please. Orbit Kerbin, another 30 grand, yes please. And another 48 grand, right on, so that's 108 grand we got so far. And we got 25 science. And we made orbit. Orbit's always fun. Now, another problem of launching at night is I can't really see where Kerbin is. Although, I would say it's that planet, or continent. Yeah, I'm thinking it's this guy. So I'm not going to be able to actually plot the maneuver node, which is kind of annoying, but we're going to try to come down close to KSC here. So normally what I would do is I would obviously click about here-ish somewhere and plot a maneuver node that would arc us down towards KSC. You're going to want to shoot a little bit long though, because your drag is going to slow you down, which is going to pull your re-entry back a bit. However, we got to get all the way to the dark side before any of that matters. What's our power at? Full. Okay, good. Whee! We have successfully made orbit. Where were we trying to go again? Is it that one? Oh shit. Is that KSC? I'm pretty sure that's KSC right there. I think I fast forwarded too long. Yeah, there's no way that's it, because that doesn't have a continent underneath it. But it's actually, it should be over here more though. Because those were on the other side of the planet from it. Is it this guy and the lights are just turning off? So just a post-commentary note. Yes, I'm a noob and an idiot, and no, I did not put 2 and 2 together that the new comm links would actually point directly at KSC. You can see there the downlink is pointing directly at KSC, and I'm directly over it right now. So you can now watch me hilariously completely overshoot KSC and miss. However, it did make me come down during right at the sunrise and sunset, so it made for some better video. But for the record, next time when you can't see, use your comm link to figure out where KSC is. Where? I feel like it's right about here. Alright, so we slowed down Oh, almost 500 meters a second. We still actually have extra fuel, but I'm going to just ditch that. And it can go and burn up, and we are going to watch the sunrise. So there's really not a whole lot to this, other than you just want to try and keep your butt into the fire here. If anything starts to get hot, you just want to kind of tip it a little bit more into the this way or back. You can see, like, if you start tipping too far, things start getting too hot. So you can just make sure you stay inside the velocity vector, and you should be able to make it down safe. We have a pretty excessive amount of parachutes actually, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm just more worried about bleeding the speed off in time, which we're not even at 10,000 and we're going slow already, so we are golden. However, is that KSC? It looks like KSC. We're a little off course. No, that's not KSC. Oh, I think we were wrong. I don't know what I aimed at, but it was not the KSC. Because actually, yeah, I don't see K2 over there anywhere. But it's not a big deal. Although I am really curious now where KSC actually is. I actually have flags right now. I should, in fact, after we recover this vessel, I'm gonna go plant some flags. Hey, cool, we get to watch the sunset. Wow, this is incredibly boring. We are going way too slow. Cut. .6. That's a little better. And we live! Yay! Do a little dance. Oh, there she goes. Oh! Oh, I should stop. I'm gonna blow something up. That's gonna be bad. So yeah, we have successfully made it to orbit. And landed... I don't really know where. That's a really gorgeous picture though. Ooh, 35 signs. Oh, we got 10 signs just for recovering a vessel that went to orbit. That's cool. We got 79%, so we weren't super far, but we certainly weren't close either. And Jebediah leveled up to level 1! Whoa! Go Jeb! Oh, yeah, shit. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna go plant some flags. So I left part of this in here because it's going to teach a very important lesson, and that is when you get out of a craft, you should always apply the brake. Otherwise, you end up like Jeb here, trying to desperately chase down your craft and probably not succeed. I eventually just had to recover them, and then I recovered the craft separately, but I thought it was pretty funny. Alrighty, so as you can see here, I quickly went out and I just took the science horror that we made before and put flags at the ends of the runway. It's going to give me markers to know where KSC is when I'm coming back from orbit, as well as if you're flying a plane, what you can actually do while you're flying is you can target these flags, and between that and the nav ball wheel, you can actually line yourself up for the runway. It's especially useful at night when you can't actually see very well until you get really close to KSC. So they're just a really, really handy thing to have. Kind of looks stupid that they actually like pop up like that, but we're definitely going to need them. Now because we've only done an orbit, probably didn't take that much time. As far as missions go, we've now got a couple tourist missions, which I enjoy tourist missions. I find them pretty fun. It's kind of a unique challenge too, because you have to take a crew cabin with you. So next episode, I may actually try to do these VIP missions. But as you can see, we have a ton more of these survey missions now. I could just decline them, like tell them to go away. There's no penalty at all if you decline them from here. If you decline ones that you've already accepted, there is a penalty for those ones. However, yeah. See, I could decline them and then just let the clock roll a bit, and this thing will repopulate with a bunch more missions. However, I'm going to go take a peek. I would really like to get this vehicle assembly building upgraded, as well as the space plane hangar, but you can see both of them are 225, so we need 550, nope, 450 to upgrade those, and we do have 450. That'll put us down to 200 left, which isn't horrible, but it's not the greatest thing. I like to try and stay above 500,000 when I can. The other thing we really should upgrade is this tracking station, which is 150, so that only leaves us 50,000 if we were to do all three, which is cutting it really close. However, I definitely want to get this guy upgraded, because right now we can't even create maneuver nodes, and maneuver nodes would be really useful when we're trying to figure out what the hell's going on up in space. And upgrading these, what that does is ups the part count, so instead of being stuck underneath this 30 part count, which is actually starting to get a bit annoying, we can build a lot bigger rockets and a lot bigger planes and stuff like that. And I also do have a bunch of science to spend. So I think what I might do, let's go take a peek at the tracking station. So you can see those. That's the one I picked up earlier. It's on the other side of the planet. It's kind of annoying. I might try... Maybe that's what we can do next episode. We could do a quick little commercial flight, and then we could also try... I have an idea that I've been kind of testing out to try and do this mission, but I've ran into a few wrinkles along the way, so I'll cover that later though. So you can see actually a lot of these surveys are actually fairly close to KSC. Really close actually, except these guys. So what's that one? 5HK. So we don't want to pick up 5HK. These three are all above, which could be doable with our Grasshopper if you were to fly it out and then do your elevation jump kind of in a line this way. You should be able to clip and take all three of those readings in one jump, so you don't have to come back. If you missed one, you would just have to land and come back out and do another jump. That guy's quite a ways out there as well. What are all these guys? Low, 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 low. That one's above. Okay, so I want to pick up these three. So what do we got? We have Burbies, Bercy, and Kirby. G3. It's the bad one. So there's the G3 one. You can see here. So we're gonna pick up that one. That's Bercy, so we'll pick up that one. And there's Kirby, so we'll pick up that one. So this one's that yellow one. It's actually pretty good money, and it's not actually that far. Probably get there in a pretty decent amount of... Yeah, alright, we'll pick up that one too. And if we really wanted, we could... I could pick up this one. I could actually get out there and take that reading pretty easy with the Grasshopper. But I don't... I don't want to pick up this one right now, and I don't want to pick up this one. And that only leaves that guy. How much money is that worth? Yeah, it's only worth 20,000. So we're just gonna leave that guy for now. Now, we could do these with the grasshopper, but the grasshopper is more obviously designed for altitude jumps. It's kind of slow because of the fact that it's lugging around that big giant rocket. So I think I'm actually gonna build a new plane here that is more maneuverable, faster, smaller, lighter, for doing more stuff like this, where you're just gonna go kind of fly around and grab some readings without caring too much about altitudes. Before I do that though, what I'm actually going to do is I'm gonna unlock the next set of plane parts. Now I'd probably be wise to actually go and get rockets, like some bigger rockets, so we can start doing more stuff like go to the Mun and that. I'd also really like to unlock the small landing gear, so we actually have some stronger landing gear that retracts. I'd love RCS, but we don't necessarily need that yet. Don't need any of that stuff. Don't need any of that stuff. And I already unlocked the power one from before. So I think we'll be okay without the wheels for now, but I am going to buy this aerodynamics. And now, we are going to go build a plane. Okay, so I've slapped together a little plane here. It looks kind of, looks rather silly, but it should have tons of speed, tons of fuel, be able to get around, and it should also have a lot of maneuverability. So it should basically do what we need to do and take all those reports and stuff like that. Now the only other things, I forgot Kerbal Engineers, let's give it that. And I should probably take at least a few science with me just in case we land somewhere that we can actually get readings from. So let's just put these back here somewhere. And we'll take a good old some thermometers and a barometer. Looks kind of silly. What? Which one? Oh, what the hell? How did the frickin' mode change? Need a mirror. If that ever happens to you, where the it switches between the rocket and the plane. You can press R to switch it back and forth. So we've got all our signs except for the bay. I don't really want to bring a bay with us. So we should be able to go take it for a quick test flight here. The other thing you could do quite easily with this guy, you could pull off this air intake and put a MK1 pod, and for one, it'll make it look a little nicer. In fact, it looks a lot nicer. And you could actually take a passenger with you. So for instance, you could take a scientist with you, and he could actually jump out and reset the experiments and stuff like that. Or if, I don't know if there's any commercial flights you'd ever have to do that with, but certainly an option. Now the only thing is, because I added this, it is going to significantly adjust our mass and lift here. So what you'd want to do actually is take these front wings, and you'd probably want to push them forward a bit. Or the other option is you could try and do an angle of incidence. See, if you tilt them, it'll pull the center of lift in, and then you could, if you turn off symmetry, you could actually make the, so you could tilt them like just a little bit like that and pull your lift in, and now you should be good without having to actually move these at all. However, that pod weighs 1.28 tons, which is a significant chunk of weight, and I really don't need to take any tourists with me, so I am not going to bother with that. So I think more movies forward. This thing looks really goofy. Oh dear. Pretty much puts them right into the wings. I don't know if I like that. I think I liked it better when they were a little bit out of the wings. It also brings our center of lift a little. It's gonna make the turbine look a bit funny, but that's okay. We shouldn't really be staring at the front of the plane anyway. So yeah, I think we're gonna I'm just gonna go test fly this thing real quick here. I lied. We're not gonna take it for test flight yet. Two things. One, it was sitting with a bit of a lean, so I fixed that front wheel. But I also just remembered that I totally forgot to set all my control surfaces. So we're gonna come back in here. We're gonna turn off yaw and roll. And then on our tail fin, we're going to turn off pitch and roll. On this guy, we're going to turn off yaw and roll. On this guy, we're only going to turn off yaw. So basically, all three of these are going to do pitch, but only these outside ones are going to do the roll. And then that obviously is my yaw. Now, you could, depending on how this flies, if it starts getting really snappy on you, you might want to bring the authority down on these front. Are they canards? I guess they're kind of canards. They're in front of the mast, so we're gonna try with 100 and just see how it handles, because I'm actually kind of trying to make it pretty maneuverable, if at all possible. Now, there's a very good chance that yeah, this engine should be a lot more powerful than the engine that we were using before. So I'm not even at full throttle right now. I'm only at 2/3, and it's already screaming down the runway. Oof. She took off some gusto too. So yeah, I'm still only running 2/3 throttle, and we're still gaining a lot of speed, which is good because that means it's gonna have lots of I'll have extra throttle if I need. And she pitches really well. Ooh, look at that. Moho, Duna, and Evil lined up. That's kind of fun. She definitely rolls. And what about corners? just did almost a hard A180 there, but we started to lose some speed. So let's crank the engines up, get some more speed, and let's try that again. This is more like it. This plane, you can pretty much do whatever you want. In fact, I could probably fly in circles here. Look at me go. We are slowly losing altitude, but... So yeah, I think this is going to be a much, much, much better plane to go out and do those surveys with, because if I punch the throttle, I should be able to get up to Mach 1 or 2. Let's just do a quick landing test. It's gonna be kind of a pain in the butt with the lights. Ooh, pretty. Where am I at? 500? Probably gonna hit that back hill though. Down to 50 meters, 60 meters. How far are we from that hill? Can we get down in time? Oh, and I wasn't even watching my altitude. Ha! Landing test failed. So yeah, we're going to revert to launch, and I'm going to go out and do those survey missions. And hopefully by the time I finish doing those, we should be through most of the night here, and should finally be daytime. In the future, I'll probably just fast forward through nights, because it's a lot more boring videos when it's nighttime, but I also, at the beginning of the game, I kind of like to play it real time, if you will, where I'm not just fast forwarding the clock just for the sake of fast forwarding it. I like to see how far I can get basically in a day. So yeah, I'm gonna quit blabbing and we're gonna go get those readings. Alrighty, so I just got back from my flight. As you can see, it's now the morning. We have successfully completed an entire day. Yay! And while I was out there, I had 2 thermometers with me, so I was actually able to get thermometer readings from flying over the mountains and the water. What is the point of that? 0 science, 0 data value. Interesting. And I also landed at the runway, so I got 100% of my ship back. And then, more importantly, we have 850 grand now. We're almost in the $1 million club. But I'm gonna spend all of it, so it doesn't really matter. One thing I am definitely gonna do is upgrade this tracking station, because apparently not only does it give you maneuver nodes, but it also, I'm assuming that is why I can't actually target. I wasn't able to actually target these flags, and I'm guessing it's because of this tracking station. But I don't 100% No. Either way, we're going to drop the money. We're going to upgrade it. Yeah, that just adds asteroid tracking and more DSN power now. And so the other things I will probably do now is upgrade the vehicle assembly and the spaceplane hangar. However, we are probably at length for this episode, so I think we will just wrap it up there and carry on in episode 5, where I think I'm going to stick to what I said before. I think what we'll do is we'll do a commercial VIP suborbital, possibly an orbital, because I know one of those VIPs was actually to do an orbital. The other possibility is I may finally break out the craft that I've been kind of tinkering away with to try and get to the other side of the planet to get rid of those stupid readings that are way over there. And the last thing I want to do, I actually noticed, I don't know if it was actually in the video cut, I might have edited it out. However, if we come to the tracking station here and turn on debris, you'll notice, apparently I left a piece of debris lane. I'm guessing this is when I tried to land in the Highlands, and I had that everything bust off. Apparently not all of it exploded. So what we can do is we can actually click on that, and then we can hit recover. And the camera's going to snap really funny, but we will get the money back from whatever that part was that was laying out there. So yeah, we will see you. Oof, KSP's flooded. We will see you in the next episode. Ta-ta!